Hi, this is Elliott and Billy. Billy, why don't you introduce our guest for today?
Hey guys, so super excited. This is our first podcast that we're doing in association with VocalizeU. And today we have some awesome guests for you guys. So iMusic podcast. Gosh, that
officially started.
Has officially begun. Let's break the bottle.
Yeah.
So first of all, we have Qveen Herby and the beautiful Nick Noonan.
Gorgeous.
The gorgeous Nick Noonan. And we have Melody Thornton.
Hello. Immaculate.
Immaculate. So we're excited to jump into, at VocalizeU, obviously, we have a lot of students that come and want to learn how the business works. We have educational classes. We have a lot of mentors and guests and artists that come. So this podcast is to kind of serve all of the students all over the world that want to come to VocalizeU and really learn how the industry works firsthand from amazing talent that has been doing their thing for a long time.
So funny, I nodded on that.
Yeah.
Amazing talent.
Long time.
Yes.
Yeah, amazing. So with further ado, I'll let these guys introduce themselves even further and kind of jump into their stories, and then we'll just jump into this beautiful podcast.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
So I am Melody Thornton. I don't know if I'm supposed to be looking in the camera, so I won't. For the podcast, there's no camera. I was in a group called the Pussycat Dolls. I started when I was 19 years old with zero experience in this world. I'm talking adult experience, like living on my own, and also had no idea what this industry.
You got the full thing.
I mean, I was like, here's a bunch of butt whoopings all in one little bag of tricks.
Here's life.
It was like, pay your rent. Wow. and hit this note, girl. So same time. I was like, writing checks, like, I don't know what to do. So my story is that I started out in a group and I was signed to a label, and I'm now an independent artist. Done some television, done some acting, done all of these great things. And it's funny because you start out thinking, I'm only this and I'm only going to do this. And I'm going to write songs and I'm going to, and it's like, it's not always that. Yeah. So, you learn so much about, I think, the world of entertainment and really what makes an artist. And I'm like, who'd have thought? I'd be so pleased. Like, I'm so grateful, That's but amazing. When you're 19 and you're like, oh, that is what I want, I get what I want.
Is that how you were?
I think that's how
the bad guy in one of those Disney movies?
You know what?
Are you the voice?
Yes. No, I think that, and I'm just going off of my own experience, when you growing up and you're gifted and you know that, and it's like, I can make it. I know I can make it. That also comes with like a sense of confidence and then a false sense of confidence, this defense that you put up that's like, no, I want it this way, know, and to some extent that worked. Like it got me into the industry, that got me started. But then you learn so much. So we'll get more into that.
Yeah, I can't wait to dive into that.
That's my intro, I guess.
I love it.
Oh my gosh.
That took me way back. So I'm Qveen Herby, and I had that feeling when I was younger. I was like, I am special. I don't know what this is. And I grew up in the Midwest in Nebraska in a church town. So it was very strange for me to have anything outside of humility, like confidence, or especially being a woman, to have a voice. And I remember the first time I heard hip hop and I was like, I need it, but it was not allowed in my house. So the journey has been long and rewarding. And if you are interested in being an artist, I just recommend that you don't do it. Right? I think it is important what she said about having that feeling, make sure that you have that feeling, because this is going to be something you have to hang on to in really, really great times and really bad times and everything between. So I'm Qveen Herby. I got my start in the music business. Actually, I would say moving out of Nebraska. I went to school in Boston at Berklee College of Music, and then blew up on the internet with my boyfriend
Hey.
in a group called Carmen. We
Don't
did
touch me.
a cover. We did what I thought was like a pretty average cover of Look at Me Now, but the world was just blown away, and we had a viral video and signed a big fat record deal with L.A. Reid, and you know, the label kind of turned us more in a direction that we didn't want to go. So we ended up independent. I say we because he's still stuck with me after we broke up the band and
This is
stuff.
when I hold up that help sign.
Help me.
Everything's great.
Well, we found out that Nick was a really dope producer. He just had to learn how to use the computers.
Yeah, big time.
And so now we're killing it, honestly. Very happy. But it's been a journey.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Nick Noonan. I've been, what meeting is this? Yeah, so we were in a band, Carmen, which is kind of how we got into the actual music industry. But
Right.
before that, I was a jazz trombone player and was I had a scholarship at Berklee College of Music and the whole thing. So I came from more of a jazz side. So definitely did not have like the pop thing.
Dang.
And then was kind of thrown into that when we were graduated, we were dating, started doing covers.
Yeah.
One went crazy, and then yada, yada, yada. One thing led to another, and now I'm on this couch.
Yeah.
Such a nice couch, isn't it?
It's really great.
I have notes.
You have notes. I have notes on this couch. Well, I'm stoked to have you guys. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously,
thank you guys so much for taking the time.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, our thing is that we love to try to let these aspiring artists understand how the business works realistically and speak honestly and truthfully. And I think that the best way to do that is to talk about you guys' journey and like your guys' challenges as artists. Like what do you guys feel like has been the hardest part of it, or I mean, from before, like what Carmen or even Pussycat Dolls,
Mhm.
but then also what are the challenges that you deal with even now, like putting out music independently?
Dude, that's the most loaded question.
No,
I know that's a big question. I'm going to walk out.
That's a big question.
Anxiety.
One second of life, you have 15 seconds.
Well, both of you said you just got thrown into the deep end at 19 and was like, all right, well, this is what's happening and let's go and everything. You put up a cover that went wild and now it's like, well, now this train's moving.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very,
I mean,
very
that's-
similar.
Well, she was much younger, so I can't imagine. I really can't.
Yeah.
You guys were a global phenomenon. And
Yeah.
we were in our 20s at least, like early 20s, but I cannot imagine.
I feel like it's about the same, even though like 19 is like about to end like teens,
Yeah,
but
that's still pretty.
Being globally known at 19, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
it was rough. But I think I didn't realize, like I had a lot of,
But it's also an incredible experience. I mean, that's one of the most rare. I mean, that's the experience. That's a textbook. You made it, kid.
American Dream.
Cinderella, crazy situation.
No,
No,
literally, you're fucking. You're a pop. Sorry, can we swear?
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
pop
yeah.
stars.
Yeah.
You're like, there you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is the definition.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I always tell people? I'm like, with success, even the good stuff is trauma, like that needs to be processed.
It has to be
And that's-
integrated.
No, that's
yeah.
a very good
it's
point.
true
That's so
because
intense.
taking the time, like I had never sang professionally. Now all of a sudden I'm singing professionally. And I taught myself to sing. Like I grew up, we were on a budget. Like this was a budget life,
Yeah.
It was like a permanent budget.
Permanent.
You're never getting vocal lessons.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
No. So getting into the world of, the entertainment industry, it was like, I have to just lean on what I think, right? And try not to let anything, I'm trying to learn and I'm trying to develop at the same time, having to dissect someone's criticism as to whether or not they're being like vocal elitists and trying to break me down so that they can control me, or whether or not that is an actual
Nope.
criticism that I can take and
Too much.
apply.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm trying to evolve, and I'm trying to execute as well at the same rate as everyone else as a dancer, which I was not.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
damn,
no.
dude.
No dance. No dance.
Okay.
I mean, it was just so.
You don't need us in this podcast. It was a better story.
No.
I'm gonna grab a coffee.
Everyone's pain is valid, is what I always say, and we can all learn from each other because I think we have the same story actually.
It's really interesting.
Regardless of whether because it blew up, your video blew up overnight, right?
Yep.
And so that's like, people are seeing me, you know?
That feeling was it a one moment thing for you? Like, were you like, it was one day, one specific set of hours that you were like, it's happening, it's here?
No, not really. It was over the span of a year. And for early 2000s, that was fast.
For sure.
It was like, we're going to find some songs. These are the girls. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Wow.
And I never doubted that I would be one of the girls. So I didn't have a fear that like, I'm going to get cut.
Yeah.
Like,
There's
I
that
didn't
voice
have
again.
that.
You're like,
Yeah.
I have it. It's me.
Yeah. I never thought I'll be cut or like, oh, she's taller than me. Like, I didn't care. I was like, nope, I'm black. I'm black and brown and I can sing. I'll be here.
And gorgeous.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had that, but there were all kinds of little other movements that I was trying to adjust.
Decode.
Yeah.
Communication in this industry
It's
is
like-
so whack.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
it's like mental ninja-y, you know.
Yeah.
No, especially in that situation too. I can't that must have been very intense. Very
It
intense.
was so intense. And
Yeah.
I pat myself on the back all the time because I'm like, you did it for 7 years, girl. Good for
I
you.
know, man.
Like there is this, they're trying to find your Achilles heel and they're trying to find that chink in your armor so they can keep pressing there, you know? And like for a kid, I was a kid. I never let them see that.
Mm.
They never figured it out. That's how I feel, you know? Even though I was getting battered. So the 6 years after the group was like,
And repair.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Who am I?
and I'm taking a nap.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, getting calls from people like, yo, what's up? I'm like, I am recovering.
Literally.
That is what I'm doing.
For the next
yeah.
18 months.
And trying not to apologize for that.
Mm.
Yeah.
And try
I know.
and I still to this day, I mean, you know this.
Mhm.
I still to this day, I'm like, it's okay. You can sit down, have a rest.
What is
Yeah.
this
You
thing
need a
with
rest.
people in the business always hitting you and being like, you are so underrated. Like, what are you wanting to do? Do you want to sign? Like, why aren't you should be much bigger. You should. I'm like, I'm actually the happiest I've ever
Yes.
been in my life.
Yeah.
And everything is under
How are you
my
supposed to
control.
respond to that?
And that's
First off,
okay.
Like,
I mean,
what do
you
Now
take it as a compliment and be like, oh,
Right.
well, they're what they
that's
the
how it's
intent.
intended to, right?
Right.
But also,
Is it?
according to who?
No, I think it is.
You
I think
it
yeah,
is.
I think it's intended to be a compliment, but it
Yeah.
never comes off that way. It's almost like a back. It's almost like a
Backhand
Yes, it
compliment.
does.
That's how I
It feels
read
like
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, am I not doing what I'm supposed to? Like, am I just letting God down?
Right.
Or?
No, it's
Yeah. The
You're like-
shame.
Yeah,
I need that fucking bell.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even for you too. Like, I mean, you guys had a couple of global records, like
Right.
huge global records.
So that's how
Yeah.
they used to set their parameters for
Yeah.
my success. They were like, okay, well, you've had a top 20 or whatever on Billboard, so that must be what you need. But I'm like, we're making 3 times the money now. So
Oh, of
I don't
course.
Yeah.
It's-
And we'll get there. But
Yeah.
but like the Carmen experience was so also there was 2 of us. So and we talk about this all the time too, because we could actually bounce shit off each other.
yes, I can't
Yeah.
imagine being alone. I
So-
was in a girl group for like a week and I could barely.
It was like
hung
2
on,
weeks.
girl. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I remember that.
I hope there was some support there, but like, with your boyfriend, it's like, and then there's the pressure of when are you getting married, when are you having babies? It's like, what?
That's a whole other element.
Artists?
Yeah.
Artists?
Nobody.
Yeah.
I never told anybody I was gay.
That's what it was?
Look,
Heard it. Heard it here first.
You never
I'm
told
going
Can I
me.
get close to the mic? I'm sorry, Mom.
So heavy. So heavy.
Yeah, I think that being in a girl group is it is challenging because communication is so bad.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and I have to be so careful.
Yeah.
Because I can really go deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I'm washing dishes.
You don't have to. Yeah.
and thinking about the patriarchy, and I'm like, how can I bring you down? How can we level this?
It's very intense because sorry.
It just sucks because it's like, oh my God, you guys, you know what we could do? If we could just talk and if you knew
I know.
that like, this is how they control us. This is it. It's like, well, she
Yeah.
does that so much better. Or like, you know who you should watch? So-and-so. She never lets that get to her. It doesn't, what it does is it makes that person look at you with resentment, not with like,
Right.
okay, yeah, I'll model myself after you. It's like, no, fuck you.
Yeah.
We're in this thing together and you're saying she's better than me. Hello. That's how we've been controlled from beginning to end.
Yeah.
So I've been taking yoga a lot lately. And I'm like, Melody, just it's your self-discipline. And if anybody looks at you and thinks that bitch is intense, oh well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm not being competitive. I'm not. I have this, drill sergeant dad inside me that's like, do it, get it right. Has nothing to do with anybody else.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when you have that, and you probably do too.
She has that too.
Yeah,
I wonder if you
It's
just fucking
insane
have to if
discipline.
you're a woman, probably at all,
Yeah.
and especially in the music industry.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's not to get anyone to look at you and feel intimidated. This is me and my discipline.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And hopefully, sometimes I think it inspires people,
Right.
right? Sometimes it makes people like, oh, I need to get on my shit, But other times, because we're so programmed in society to it's just so easy to control women mentally.
Yeah.
It's just like, look at her, look. And instead of going, yeah, look at her, that's great. You don't. You go, you bitch.
Right.
You think you're great.
You're everything I'm not.
Yeah.
Great.
But I just don't think we should be allowed anymore to compare women to each other. It should just not be that.
Well, we talk about this all the time too. Like, how many male rappers are there?
Yeah.
How many female rappers are there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can there's 3. Because there can only be one. For whatever reason, there's only one at a time. It's like
Right.
Nicki, and then it's like Cardi B's like, oh, Nicki's done though. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yes.
There's literally
Yeah.
2 people in the conversation and you can't have
Yes.
one?
Yeah.
Yes. You want to know who? There was a moment in time, and I was like, she's brilliant. She's fucking brilliant. When Gaga came on the scene, and it was like, she's about to take over. And Beyonce was like, no, we're going to be friends.
Right.
Mhm.
Right,
We're
right.
going to make a song together, and we're
Exactly.
going to exist in this world
Yeah,
together.
people gagged.
Because,
And
yeah.
I think Beyonce is good at that. That's one of the reasons why you have to learning to adapt.
Yeah.
And don't make just look, it's
Yeah.
still just fucking music. Just
Right.
bring them in your circle.
Totally.
Yeah.
She grew up listening to you. She idolizes you as
Right.
Beyonce. So it's
Yeah.
gonna be fun. It's gonna
Yes.
be a good experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's room for everybody.
But also don't
It's gonna
allow
be a hit.
Yeah.
But don't
Yeah.
allow them to pit you against each other.
Right.
Like,
Right.
communicate
Yeah.
the things that you could do together.
course.
If you just knew I was there to control you. You get that, right? If you would just talk, then you could control them.
Yeah.
Or at least not let them control you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? But if everyone's not communicating and they're all in a boat together, it's like they're going to kill each other.
Yeah.
This is great.
Communication is
Turn the
so-
cameras on.
It's
Yeah.
so
Turn the cameras
important.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, one of our big experiences. I'm going to talk way too much when
Love
we
it.
because there's just so much to this. Is such the ocean is deep.
Yeah.
We're in the
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
Mariana Trench right now.
Right.
One of our experiences with Carmen, because we had no industry. We had a ton of music background, but no industry background,
Yeah.
none. So we're in this what? And everything was green lights because we were one of the biggest shit on the internet at the time.
Yeah.
So there was just all the bargaining power in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then you just think that's the norm.
Yes. Yes.
How quickly it changes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember at one point, we were having, we were in the room, having some meetings about something with some people and some, music people, and we won't go into that, but
Mhm.
just the energy was just so terrible.
Yeah.
And everybody was so fundamentally unhappy.
Afraid.
And it was just what? Why?
Yeah.
Why do this is toxic?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it took us a long time to kind of come to terms with that.
Yeah. It was disappointing, but we are seeing the clear path now for artists of the future. We were just
Big
talking
time.
about it this morning
Yes.
because
Sorry.
it's
Doom and gloom.
yeah.
No,
but
it's
that's
part
good.
of
No, but
it.
It's all part.
It's part of it.
It's about all of our journeys. I mean, and
This is the best time ever. The
Oh.
internet changed the fucking game, and
Internet
music
changed
didn't.
everything,
Yeah.
It's honestly an honor to be one of the first viral people on YouTube. At the time, we were like, this is weird. And people used it against us. They're like,
Mhm.
oh, you're just a YouTube
Yeah.
sensation.
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
damn, you didn't see my entire, okay, never mind. But now it's like, okay, the internet is our world. We can really make our own worlds. And it's much more efficient, cost-wise and emotionally and just creatively. If you learn to be a real artist, you have to give yourself the freedom and the space to create.
Yeah.
And when you have all those suits breathing down your neck and
Ugh.
all this red tape and these parameters the labels come with, the reason they're afraid is because they know it's coming. You know, this is
And there's
happening.
money. Of course. There's money on the list. This is now a business.
People can lose their jobs over whether you wear this or that in the video. So it's we're building it. We're building a world where artists can just build their own ecosystems and pay their bills and enjoy that process.
If you're not enjoying, oh my gosh.
There's so many books
such a world.
It's slippery though, because you enjoy it and then you get signed and you're like,
Well, I think what you touched on earlier is like you think you want this.
Yeah.
Right.
And everybody tells you you're so lucky.
Yeah.
And everybody in the whole thing and the screaming people.
and before you have money, before you get your bag, it's like you don't know. I mean, it's just all you want is to get the bag.
Yeah.
And then you get money and you're
We
like,
didn't have money. We were like, yes,
and you
sign the
get the
biggest
money
deal.
and then you're like, oh, nothing's different.
And then you're like, oh, I just lost all my creative freedom.
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm a puppet. Here's the thing, and I always try and see all sides as often, like I'll be like, you know what? It works for some people. And that's okay. Like it is okay as long as you understand this. When you go to buy a house and it's like, this is what I made last year and the year before. And these are my bank statements. What can I get approved for?
Right.
And they're like, this. And you're like, I'm going to use the max. They're like, okay, you're going to pay me back. And here's the interest.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And you're just paying for that house. And you're paying for the house. And you need somewhere to live, right? There has to be somewhere to live.
Mm-hmm.
A record label is that.
Yeah.
They don't care about you. You're not a person. You are a product. I hate to be like that, but it sometimes it does come down to that.
Sometimes
you know?
some people
and so
at the label care about you. Sometimes.
Yes.
But they move around to other companies and then you like lose your people.
Because here's the thing, even at labels, there are people who are passionate about music, right? And some of them manage to hang on to that at the same rate that artists show up and it's like, I just want to sing. And then after a while, it's like, I put up with all this abuse, give me some money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
it does,
people shift from back and forth and it's like, everybody's pain is valid and it's all real. So if you look at a label like, here's the money, I'm going to get it back. You know what I mean? Like you took my money. So, you know, and you know, we can't 100%, if you put something out and it doesn't work, we're going to find a way to get that money back.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're going to wear this.
Of course.
And you're going to sing this.
And we're going to start with
That's
your
exactly
fingers.
there.
And you're going to go there.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's how it turns.
I don't want to go to Papua New Guinea. Well, you're going.
That's exactly what you just said. Listen, kids, what you just said is it.
It's
so
just that simple.
it starts with, okay, here you go.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't go exactly, or not even exactly, like literally number 1, 8 weeks.
Because sometimes it does, but it's
sometimes it does. And there are those cases and you have exactly. And like, awesome. But for the 99.99999% of all of the things, you know, and it doesn't happen literally that first time. And I think this is a new music industry thing. This didn't used to be the case.
Yeah.
Because you hear about like Tom Petty putting out 4 albums before anybody, or Bruce Springsteen,
It was
one of
fine.
them.
Yeah.
It was like his fourth. You know what I
Seal's
mean?
album
Literally.
was like not doing great, and then someone loved "Kiss from a Rose" and was like, "I want to put it in Batman." And he's like, "All right,
That worked out.
whatever."
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Yes.
And then that song from a record that had already come out, like, worked. So then the next album was, you know, like that's
all of this shit. Like Queen, like was a decade before they were Queen.
Yes.
Like all, and now it's just like you
development
have.
is so important.
Well, so this is, I think, a big thing for
That's your investment.
all these artists. Look, whether you sign or whatever path you're going to do, you're going to have to develop your own fucking artistry yourself.
Yeah.
You have to
That's
put in
key.
this time.
And your TikTok.
Regardless of whatever the money.
Don't forget TikTok.
Right.
I'm going to go to that building. blow
Our
it up.
streams tripled when we started doing TikTok. It's like,
You told me that.
I
Yeah.
hate it. I was like, I don't want to do it.
And then you see it and you
Did
go,
it.
This worked so fucking hard.
but
Quite-
damn it, I don't
quite
like
good.
this. Yeah.
So also,
and
if
you
you want to
learned-
be an artist, get ready to adapt to every new thing.
Yes.
New form of
Always
communication.
Find a new way to pour yourself into it.
Because when we started, it was literally like right when because like we were the first people to come from YouTube, so that wasn't even respected yet. And then like literally 3 years later, everyone's like, "Get on YouTube, get on YouTube."
Yeah.
But it went from Instagram wasn't even around yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we went through like Vine, and now it's TikTok, and like literally every 3 years it completely forms. And the labels are just going around chasing
Yes.
whatever's big on that newest platform.
Yeah.
So if you follow
because it's already
them,
proven that people will watch and consume it.
so
right?
if you follow what they say or what they're trying to do, you will become insane
yeah.
because you're constantly chasing something that you can't
yeah.
catch.
Yeah.
And that was the reason why I ended up leaving the label system, just because I just felt like, I'm a very passionate in music, passionate about music. And I love the artists that I worked with, and I love the artists that I was able to sign. So, being caught in that system where it's like, you work for us, you do what we tell you to do. I'm like, wait, but those are my artists.
Yeah.
And I love those artists. And I don't want to, they're like, we'll tell them that
I can't just leave them.
because the conversation would be like, yeah, they just recorded a whole album for the last 2 years, but yeah, this week we just scrap it and make another album. Tell them.
Tell him.
Me tell
oh my God,
him?
the trauma.
Yeah.
The trauma.
You tell them.
Trauma too.
Also,
Yeah.
knowing
the
you
whole
now
system.
too as a person that is so it's dark, but that's really funny.
Awful.
No, but that's really what it was, and I had to go like, hey, so how do you think we should do another
Do you want to get a
album?
drink?
yeah. Let's get some.
Let's try meth for the first time.
Yeah, right.
I have some news.
But that was I never was really good at the label politics, and that was I mean, I spent 20 years at these majors, and I had some amazing times, and I learned a lot. But like, it's like
You get so much information. Yeah.
yeah, but I feel like for me, I identify with you guys because it's like I've been there, done that, and I'm about artist development and developing artists and projects and being on the other side of it as opposed to being in a bigger system. So, we're all indie in here. You know what I'm saying?
Well, honestly, dude, the majors are indies now. Like they're marketing firms, and I think you need to think of like all these new kids need to think of it that way. Like they are not the answer. There's no magic. Like they are marketing tools that are very niche in streaming net services and maybe some like sync departments and ads and things like that.
The gatekeepers.
Gatekeepers.
Yeah. I wouldn't even call it marketing anymore.
But there's yeah.
Because the artists are expected to come up with creative marketing.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
And relationship to the
Yes.
audience.
And that's
all that
another thing
matters.
gets too. You're going to sign a deal and you're going to still have to blow yourself up.
Yes.
The thing that we try to do is like, I feel like the impression is that the labels, they just know. They know what to work. And you go,
They do not know.
they know nothing anymore. That's why they're only signing
What's
things
already
that are
popping off.
proven to
Absolutely.
work. So all they have to do is funnel it through their
Yes.
system,
Yeah.
which they know if they blow it up enough and shove it down your throat, you feel like it's organic
Yes.
as a fan sometimes,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But in reality, you go, wait a minute, like what? Like the term industry plants now is such a thing
It
because
is.
if they do it right, they feel like I discovered that person. You go,
Yeah.
that's great that you think that. But
Yeah.
in reality,
Yeah.
there was a whole lot of money and time spent into doing this person. So
For
the
the
thing
last
that
2
we're
years.
Yeah, exactly. Since they were 15.
Yeah.
And you touched on something we try to tell everyone that comes, like, just be clear about what it is that you want. Like, what is it? Because then it's really not a big deal. Like, maybe the label is for you. If you don't really mind this stuff, it's not all bad for everyone. But be clear about what it is that you're trying to get out of this.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's like, if the goal is just to make a living, not even a lavish living, but to not have to get a normal job and do music, that's the dream, right?
Like you've made it. And a lot of people still like scoff at that, but like no, seriously. Because it's difficult just to do that.
Totally.
Yeah.
So difficult.
Yes.
Yeah.
People don't it's difficult just to do that. So you're good.
Well, and you said at the beginning too, if you can do something else, like we go ahead and do something else, please.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because it is not going to be what you hope that it is.
Yeah.
But if you go, this is it for me, good on you, because that's what you're going to need, right?
Yeah.
You better hang on to that.
Yeah, hang on, bitch.
But I will say this about, like, if you're creative, the good thing is there's always something to learn. Like, I feel like people who are creative love to learn. I mean, I do. I'm always like, ooh, what's that?
I'm absolutely there.
I mean, I protest social media though. Heavy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like,
I wonder what that is. What is your zodiac sign?
I'm a Libra.
Oh, get out.
It's the way she said it.
Yeah. But I always protest a new platform at first. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
No, we do the same.
I'm grown.
Trust me, we're kicking and
We're
screaming to get on
Tauruses, so we're
TikTok.
like,
I say we, it's her.
It's
But,
me,
How did you get like more savvy on TikTok? Because I'm so like, I'll be on YouTube like looking at tutorials and I'm like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
See, I'm that way. I'm that way. Yeah. She'll sit down and just learn in her free time.
Yeah.
And just is always like, I just can't, that's not me. I just need to have like
I think what worked for me with TikTok is I was going through the videos that people were posting. I was like, damn, this is a very human app. It's not like Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
It's not perfection. It's like flaws. And people are like out here crying and talking about their disabilities. And I was like, oh, wow, this is a place where I feel like I could actually contribute because it's not just like ass and titties.
Yeah.
That's what
I have neither. Yeah. So I was like, cool. So it was challenging, and we spent a long time finding our vertical. So this is maybe helpful for people that are listening, but if you are going to have the same pink chair and the same microphone, and you're going to always post your songs with the lyric bubbles, like do that every time, because if you have something go successful, you can create a vertical that people then are coming back to get something from you consistently.
Yeah.
Cause there's so much noise. Yeah. There's so many TikTok accounts, and we find that the people that we watch and that are very successful on that app are doing the same goddamn thing every single post.
Yeah.
Some of them go, some of them don't. I would say like 1 in 8, 1 in 12 will actually go over 1 million for us. Like there's plenty of them that get like 100,000 or less.
Yeah.
You know, for us, which for us is low, but for a lot of people, that's a huge success. So
I have like 14 people on TikTok.
But it's all relative though, right? Like it's all for you guys to go, man, this didn't hit over 100,000.
Sucks. That
Which
leaving
sucks,
it
but
and
then
saying
other people
enjoy,
will
like
go,
just leaving
I
it
haven't
is
broke 1,000,
clutch.
but it's still the same feeling. You know what I mean? Everyone's just trying
And
to get their thing.
that'll never go away.
No,
And
right.
that never, you have to just like understand. And then it is the most, if you really want to like try to like make or break your soul or whatever you want to call it, and this like really learn who you are, get in the music industry.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's going to force you to.
It's rich.
And sometimes that it's bad, like they end up like ODing or they're like addicts or it's not positive. But if you can like hang in and try to like, it forces you to have to learn who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From like 8 different levels.
Yeah.
Communication level, business wise, like artistry,
Spiritual,
spiritually, like
spiritual has saved
what
me.
kind of
I'm
energy
like, okay.
you want
That's a big
around
one.
you.
Yeah.
We've been reading so many books about this since
So many
like
books.
quarantine started.
Yeah.
There's this amazing book called Letting Go. If you
By
ever want to
David
get into
Hawkins.
it. David Hawkins.
It's
Read
great.
it.
It's a great book. Wow.
David Hawkins.
I get 10% off the Amazon production.
Use my code.
Use my code. Oh man.
Yeah, it's an amazing. Getting spiritual for me, like astrology was huge inspiration because it's like mythology and history and like human history is so fascinating. But indulging your inner artist, you know, I grew up with a lot of programs of like music's not a real job.
Yeah.
It's another keyword.
So
for
I
us
was
to programs.
wondering, like, even this last year, I was like, why is every time we sit down and make a record together, I'm like, just finish, like, can't spend, like, I don't give myself permission to spend time making music. That's an old program that I had to let go of with the book Letting Go by David Hawkins. That method just worked for me because I realized I was storing a lot of those programs in my body, like the energy, the density of that, the guilt, shame, all that stuff is like in you.
Yeah.
And you have to do that work on yourself to release it.
Oh, God.
You do. And it's
You
real
really
work.
do.
And it's real work. It's
No
like,
one can do it for you.
And I think everybody on earth has to experience this at some
Everybody.
point.
Yes.
But something about being in music like just brings it to the top.
Ooh, we
And
even
you
got
just have
into
to deal with it.
even got into books about like the soul, like the eternal soul. Like if you're a religious person, I mean, we have this thing where we kind of believe now. There's a bunch of cool books about like past life hypnosis, past life hypnosis, and
Journey of
there's a
Souls.
theory that you choose this experience, and so that makes me even more curious about like, okay, let me uncover what else am I supposed to do.
Do you remember
Right.
at any point, this might go in a different direction a bit, but when you were a kid, do you remember being like, I chose this?
They say before the age of 7. That's very common.
I distinctly remember certain things.
Do you really?
Yeah.
No shit.
And
no
I was
past
like,
life. You're not like, oh, I was, you know.
I think, I feel like before you're born, you do. You're like, and these are your peanuts, and these are your, this and that, and you take your little lunchbox and you down a thing.
And then you wake up and you're
And-
like, no!
I feel like later I was like, oh, like whenever people were like, that's not your mom, because she was Mexican and I'm brown, and I would be like, I chose her. Like, I remember choosing her.
Yeah, that's her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, only later when it was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I was like, oh, it doesn't make any sense?
Right.
Do you see what I mean? Yeah.
Program.
Yeah. That's
exactly.
really-
Program. They don't want you to
Program.
know that you're
Yes.
here for a specific purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So there's
it's
this-
all right.
So you would love, there's this one book in particular called Journey of Souls. And they literally talk, it's not like he was the doctor, what do you call it? The hypnosis.
Transcript. It's a transcript.
It's just
of
a
him
transcript.
and the patients. And there's a like.
So it's literally like, I asked this question, this was their response.
Yeah.
So it's not like, and then he'll like, after, 3 pages of that, then he can summarize like, well,
It's
this
not
is
a woo-woo book.
right. It's more
real,
like
it's a
literally
real doctor like talking to
I
people.
asked these fucking questions, they gave me this fucking answer.
Yeah.
And it's like, because
Yo.
they're all the same.
It's all the same,
Your mind will be blown.
And they
It's pretty
all
crazy.
have like,
It'll validate all those
choose,
memories.
You choose
Yeah.
all of your experiences, and it's like, it goes super deep.
Yeah, it talks about people that are when they go under, he'll take them into a past life.
Take
Which
them
is
back before they
Crazy, yeah, it's gnarly, and they'll start speaking different languages or like whatever the case is.
Yep.
But like,
It's
unexplainable.
it was
the
with
soul world, like everybody, it's the same. We all describe it.
Yeah.
It's a bit frightening to read.
I know.
It sounds like that's just like a whole.
No,
I'd have to
it
be
was
like,
amazing.
You have to
It's
be
not
ready.
really-
You have to be ready.
time. Yeah,
it was
That's when we hit the meth for the first time.
yeah.
But I think it's helpful to talk about stuff like this because I grew up a certain way. And even though I don't believe every single thing that like my foundation for faith, I'm so glad that I have it.
Yeah.
Cause you're gonna need it.
Yeah.
Like
It's
Buckle
pretty
up.
helpful, especially
Yeah.
if you're just a blank slate. Like, please.
yes, get something, have something, because you don't want to be molded,
Mhm.
right? You kind of want to just really be solid in your thing.
Mm.
And it's tough when you're young. And like I remember certain things that people would say to me, and I'd be like, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. And that I think about now, and I'm like, dang, they were right. Like,
Damn it.
oh wow,
Yeah.
like okay. I was trying to be positive, and I sometimes I'd take things that people would say, and I'd be like, that's not nice. Don't listen to that melody, you know. And but it was them just trying to help me.
Yeah.
You know, if
course.
if it wasn't the right communication or didn't resonate with me,
Mhm.
fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think faith is really having something
sure.
that you can be like solid and know yourself.
And like you said, when you first started, you were like, I'm awesome. I know, like you were never worried you weren't going to be
Yeah,
picked
no.
for, or you know what I mean? Make it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
I think that that is kind of like, that's you, everybody's going to need that. If
Yeah.
they want to get into artistry, they're going to need that about some aspect of them,
Yeah.
whether it's their
Yeah.
songwriting ability, or it's like, okay,
Mhm.
maybe I'm not the best this, but I know this and this. I'm
Yeah.
going to fucking kill that shit.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That's okay. And that's great. Then just find those things
Yep.
and just do those, just hammer those out until you're fucking Tiger Woods at that shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because there's another thing that like, keep talking.
So in the third book that we
There's this thing
Mentor
like
reading.
circle of influence. Okay. What's going well, what you can change, what you have control over, all that versus your circle of concern. So in
Yes.
this circle of concern is what's wrong, what you need to fix.
Yeah.
So when we were on the label and we were reading all these books as we were doing the covers, and like we're very positive, and we think that helped attributed to the
Oh,
the manifestation of it, right?
Totally.
And as soon as we signed, we just stopped doing all this shit.
Yes. Oh, that's it.
And so we were like, what? And we didn't even. It just kind of happened.
We
like
even
the
stopped.
schedule-
Get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It's
Schedule
so much
changes.
information.
Exactly, and
Yeah,
it's
it's a
really,
lot.
and it's like, oh, this is who I am now. I wear these clothes, and I am happy.
They
and-
even told us to stop doing covers and stop wearing my hairstyle that I like so much.
yeah, there were meetings
It was
about
just like,
hair.
damn, they really just
this better than
they
anybody.
just like
Always
clear
hair
the whole.
meetings.
It's always the hair
meetings,
But,
meetings.
but
man.
anyway,
Is she
everybody,
blonde or is she
Yeah.
brunette?
everything was always a circle of concern.
Yeah.
For them.
We were
yeah.
never like,
Yes.
this is good, let's focus on this. And
Yeah.
there was only like, this is wrong, so we need to change this to make it better.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you just focus on your circle of influence, what's good and what's going
What's
well,
working.
Yeah.
Yes.
ironically, the longer you do that, it shrinks your circle of concern.
Sure.
Well,
Exactly.
the influence
Yeah.
grows, and then
Yeah.
you
It
end up
does.
just like,
And then those
domino.
problems actually take care of themselves.
Yes.
So that is if you want to make sure that you're going to be miserable and you're not going to make it, focus on your problems.
Yeah.
If you know you're going to make it in some way, shape, or form, focus on the circle of influence.
Right.
Focus on what's working.
I want to add an example to that for anybody who's listening who's like, huh? I'm going to try and throw myself as an example. So I talked a little bit about how like we started out and we were making these pop songs and it was like, like super easy vocal, like super simple. And then it started getting really like this elitist approach to vocalizing everything.
Because it was a girl group and it was like,
Well, because they were trying to they were trying to intimidate some people. You know what I mean? Like, just stay in your lane, you know? And I think sometimes that they tried to play that on me, and I would be like, Melody, girl, you done taught yourself to sing. Stick to what you know. You can do what you can do.
Yep.
And as long as I stuck to that, even though there were like little,
They still tried to penetrate.
criticism,
Trying to get in that circle.
criticism that borders on abuse.
right.
Because it's like they're really trying to, what it is like clay. They're trying to warm it up so they can just mold it into something else.
Yeah.
And somebody
That's all it
taught
is.
them how to communicate
Yes.
this.
Right.
They're doing what they learned.
Totally.
Yes. They're just
Yeah.
trying to
They're not
warm
necessarily
it up.
bad people. This
Yeah.
is what they think you're
Yes.
supposed to
They're
do.
They're
doing
operating out of
Yeah.
fear.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're operating out of fear.
Yes.
We felt
Absolutely.
it. We felt it in those meetings, man.
Yeah, you could get more parts. Gotta do it like this. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And I'd be
Time to
like,
get rid of the donuts.
it's not me.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not me. I'm doing it like this.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think people need to understand that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Adele apparently had recorded her whole second album, and this is all going to I'm sure these stories are totally inaccurate, but the point is good. So she like made this whole other album after her first one. This is her follow up because the first one was bigger than the fucking Bible, right?
Yeah.
So then it's got to be bigger than the first one.
Right.
Yeah.
So they made this whole, apparently it was like very pop, this whole thing. And she just like, they were going to drop it. And she was like, no, and scrap the whole, this isn't me. This isn't what I sound like.
Imagine the power that takes.
Because the truth
Man,
is,
yeah.
the
Courage that
people,
takes.
the people
Better than
that,
anybody else.
Yeah.
the people that love you, it has to be that you know.
Mhm.
They have to trust you. The people who love Melody from the Pussycat Dolls, they trust me because I never lied.
Yep.
And I show up and I'm consistent and I do what I do.
Right.
And that's it.
Yep.
So that's the circle of what's the
Influence.
influence.
Yeah.
And then the concern is all of the other bullshit that's like,
Most
well,
which
what
you
about
can't
this?
control.
What about that? What about this? Just stick to your thing. If you just stick to your thing,
Yep.
it'll just spread wider and wider. And that's what you're saying, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
It's very real. It's
I
very
think
real.
On the Adele point, it's like what, again, we've tried to talk to everyone like in the classes like that, go, okay, well, you have to operate by your gut and be okay with that because it's a whole lot easier to swallow that pill if it does fail.
Yes.
If you're like, no, this shit was fucking dope. Like
Yeah,
the
but I
song is
loved
hard.
it.
If somebody else
Right.
goes, this is gonna work, or even if you or yourself, you go, well, this is working right now, so I guess I gotta change up my thing, and it doesn't take off, you go, I should have just went with my gut.
Right.
Because to me, I feel like that's what we're trying to implore, that it's like, it's okay for you to operate on your gut, even if it doesn't, I don't know, explode into whatever you think.
And it's
It was
and
going
even
to.
their time operates differently now. Like if it doesn't blow up overnight, that doesn't mean it's not good.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're not on the right path.
Yep.
That doesn't mean all these things. When we first started, when we killed Carmen, and we started the Qveen Herby thing, I literally am not an engineer at all. So I had to fucking sit with headphones on for like 2 years and just like, how do I do, like, what's the record button? You know what I mean? All this
Yeah.
shit. When we had like, and I have music knowledge, but not like engineering and like, and I was like, but I knew, I just loved it so much. I was like, I'm gonna be fucking great at
Be
this.
great at
Right.
Because there is no time, there's no clock on me. I'm just
Totally.
gonna keep dropping
Yeah.
shit until it's
Yes.
like
Yeah.
undeniably fire.
Yes.
And then 18 months later, people will start to notice.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
how
yeah,
it works.
Yeah.
Everything's on a back order.
Right. I felt a little more pressure being a woman because we are not allowed to age past 24.
Right.
So I started getting nervous because he's like chilling, like taking his time. And I'm like, honey, we got to like get some tracks done because I'm not going to.
Shame and guilt right here.
Yeah.
So then I realized for me, that's also just releasing old programs. And
Yep.
that went into my songwriting too, made my songwriting better. It's just
Yep.
it's heal yourself and
Yes.
Because also she was always like so worried about, because writing songs is so much energy and it's so much emotional energy that writers get the least amount of credit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so terrible.
There's
They're
like
literally,
no
because you talk about
advances.
like,
No advances,
they're
don't get
literally
paid on
like
the front
producers like,
end.
fucking write it better.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, which
Yeah.
part?
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
And then they pour their hearts out and then they're like, great, I'm taking the money.
Yeah.
Thanks for this song.
Yeah.
Which is why I learned how
Thanks
to
for your
produce.
thanks for
Right.
thanks
Great
for your
choice.
intellectual property.
Yeah, thanks for this hit that I'm going to put these 4-4 drums over. You know what I mean? So it's really, that part of the process. But I knew that if she just dug into it, there was something, this perspective of coming from Nebraska where nobody listened to hip hop, being the white girl, and what that means in hip hop, or even any kind of, or even R&B, any kind of like black genre, and just really like learning your voice, and like learning all of it, the history of it, and all. Just like and give yourself time.
Because I actually love it, but a company was not going to invest in that.
No,
I had to do that myself.
It's crazy. I remember when I was at Sony and I was trying to sign Tori Kelly. I think she was 14 or 15.
So talented.
I loved her. She was like 12.
Insane. Oh, you would love her.
Flew her to her and her family to New York, and we had this big meeting, and I really wanted to sign her, and we, they didn't want to move on it. Anyways, but I remember that having a conversation with her afterwards, and she was just like, I'm just going to like invest in myself and write and learn how to produce myself.
She's capable.
And do everything. And so she spent the next few years doing that. And that's when she started putting out all these videos, and I just would see her posting stuff left and right. And, and that's what ultimately got her, that deal. She was, her vocals are insane. Tori, I love you.
All the time. She does all the stuff.
She's amazing.
And good looks, all of it.
Shit is the best fertilizer. Say this all the time. Listen, stop trying to hit these fucking grand slams every time you're up there. Develop it.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to develop it.
You're going to have to develop it because there is no, Jackson 5.
In the way that we, because we're in a bubble too, because we're just all in here making shit. So you're the best A&R is the public.
Yeah.
It's better than your
Drop
friend.
some flops.
It's
You'll
better than your buddy.
so much valuable.
You really will.
And even your flops will mean something to people that listen to B-sides and just don't know the ad-libs.
Yeah.
It happens.
It's very real.
Because we sing a bunch of Brandy's songs all the time.
Together. And no one else in the car knows the song. But we have all the ad-libs down.
Because we love Brandy.
Which albums?
All of them.
Mostly Full Moon.
It's so funny. We were talking about how good Full Moon was, and my sister was like, remember when they stopped promoting the album because she was pregnant? And we were like, we don't care about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nobody cares.
And it was such a thing. Like, this album is insane.
Yeah.
Can you just come out?
That happened?
Yeah. Can you believe
I
that?
didn't even hear about that.
That like, you're not going to work because you're pregnant.
Oof.
Yeah. And it was the best album. And me and my sister were like,
wow.
like, where are the performances? Like, we're ready.
Yeah, exactly.
Loved the whole album, knew the whole album, and it just they just made her disappear for a second.
Yeah.
It was such a bum out.
And that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
That's the crazy. That sounds like that's
why
the
when
1950s.
Beyonce was like revealed her tummy, like when Beyonce did the reveal, and like Cardi B coming out here and having a child, like it's so important.
Yeah.
For women to be able to do that and work.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Crazy.
That is wild.
You have a new record coming out, right? It's out now. Right? Hey, let's get into it. Let's get into it.
The album is called A Woman, and you can stream it everywhere. No, we're really excited. We've never done a full album for Qveen Herby, so this is a big deal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love it for you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh my God, too much work though. EPs, I did 9 EPs, easy. 5-song drops, easy, like a video here and there. An album is like, it's the ultimate. I guess that's the theme of today. Artistry is like your journey, and that integration of finding out who you are. There was some painfulness.
And we had never been here before. We'd made music together for damn near a decade at this point.
Right.
And never made music like this together.
Ever.
Because it was, we're actually getting good at what we do.
Yeah.
Right.
And on top of that, focused on what you want to do.
Right.
And so we're like, all of it's kind of, so then it's like, okay, well, what are we going to do here? What do we want to make? And just actually having that approach to it made it so much more, this is the most like satisfying we've not even by far the most we've ever felt in our lives.
For sure.
Incredible.
Totally.
Like
Good
not
for
even
you
close.
guys.
You get to that point where you're like, okay, I'm good. It's the best feeling. It's like that feeling it goes back to her.
Yeah.
Your thing from the beginning is like, you're the
big
shit.
poppy up at the you're like, come on, bitch.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you get into it and you're like, oh, am I the shit? though?
Yeah.
And then you make an album and you're like, oh, I am the shit.
My shit's hot.
Yeah. So I'm good.
Yeah.
Good for you
no,
guys.
it's
And
a
sometimes,
yes.
and a lot of times there'll be people who, there's so many tangents we go, sorry, I'm talking too much.
But
Somebody else go.
no,
Imagine
please.
putting out out an album, you get to the point in your creative career where you put an album out and you actually don't care how it performs.
Yes.
That's how
That's
satisfied
amazing.
you are.
That's
You know what I mean?
amazing.
And ironically, when you start doing that,
Right.
all of your
It goes
numbers.
better.
When it starts to go anyways.
Literally.
Yeah.
This is the letting go book too. It's
Yeah.
literally
Yes.
Yeah.
as soon as you let go of that shit
Yeah.
and just like, all right, looks like I'm just gonna make shit because I love fucking making shit.
Yep.
It all lines up.
There you
Yes. If you believe it. And that's why, like, people are always like, believe in yourself. But what does that mean?
I know.
These two voiceovers. You're the best
It's like
voice.
Eartha Kitt a little bit. You're still like, yeah.
Then what does that mean? What does that mean? What it means is tell the truth, which is that center circle that you talked about. Just tell the truth. That's
Yeah.
it. That's it. Just
Sometimes
tell
it
the truth.
takes you a minute to understand what your truth is.
Yes.
And that's,
Mhm.
just meditate. Honestly,
And
if I
that's
could give you
okay.
any, that's okay.
If
That's
you
all right.
don't know,
That's
it's
okay. Stop comparing yourself to
Yeah.
anything.
Yes.
It's okay. Everything
Yes.
is okay. I
Yeah.
agree. Everybody has a different story. There'll be people who blow up when the Justin Biebers, the Billie Eilishes, they were famous since they were 13. Great,
Yeah.
awesome, love ya. Or, you don't happen until you're like Sia's.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who've been writing songs for literally
Right.
25
Yeah.
years that
Yes.
nobody gave a fuck about,
Yeah.
and all of
Yeah.
a sudden you're a
Right.
phenomenon.
And they were
Yeah.
all good.
Ex-
And
oh,
they were
they're-
all
The whole
good.
time.
She was still
The
Sia
The
the whole time.
whole time.
Nobody
Yes.
cared. Yeah.
So sometimes you just gotta, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't know the timing of the universe. You have to
No,
let
you
it
don't
go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love you guys so much. Thanks you guys for
Yes,
Yeah, we really
I
appreciate
mean,
it.
I think we're about to wrap up because I think we're out of time. But like,
Yes.
thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
That was great. That was awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's such an honor to be here, you
Yeah,
guys.
it's an amazing conversation and
With
like everyone's
Wonderful
journey.
talent and wonderful people.
Cry, bitch.
So do we get paid now or?
Yeah. I pay you guys in ruples.
Oh, love
I'll
that.
take it.
I'll
Is
take
that a
it.
sandwich?
Yeah. lunch on me. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks
And
for having
I'll
us.
see
Yeah.
all you guys at camp in 2022.
Yeah.
VocalizeU, I'm telling you, it's a magical. It's a magical feeling when you're on campus with these
Yeah.
kids.
Because these kids are coming from all over the place and they sometimes feel like they come from a place that this isn't cool to do.
Right.
So to see all of a sudden like the island of misfit toys and you're like,
Yeah.
these are my people.
Yeah.
Like this is amazing.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
never had that. So you literally are rooming with people that you've never met before and are all feeling the same thing.
like-minded
Wow.
but
artists.
all
powerful.
trying to do this thing.
I wish I had that.
Right. And that's again.
That's the thing.
That's
That's the reason when we got involved with it. It was the whole thing was like, where was this when we were coming up? Like, I wish there was a place where, we could, because I never had anyone to kind of take me under their wing and show me how everything worked. I had to figure all that
Yeah, I
out
know.
on my own.
And
So-
you guys are just
out there
doing God's work.
It's,
lonely.
well, it's like this
Oh,
10-day
crazy.
thing that you walk away. Some of these people end up like living together after, like they go,
Mhm.
we're going to move to LA together and all of them and stuff like that
Yeah,
after not
yeah.
meeting each other. So it's a very intense like thing where you either walk away from this with a fire lit under your ass or you go, I'm not ready for this. But at least
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
figure it out very quickly because we put a lot on your plate.
Yeah.
You're here. We're going to let you know
It's
all of
amazing.
it. And you're going to hopefully walk away with
Dude,
Yeah.
that's
So
at least a
important.
better
Yeah,
understanding. That's very important. Yeah.
Yeah. Can't wait for you guys to check it out.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Reducing trauma.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.